Well, I'm back a little bit later than I had expected because it is now, what, 4:48. So sorry for that jerkiness there. So anyway, I'm back on the deck sitting in my chair looking out over the Sand and Stones garden with the sun much lower in the western sky behind me. The direction that we're looking at here is due east. So I'm going to get up and walk around a little bit, show you a few highlights. Woo, that's bright. First off are some native strawberries, or wild strawberries, I like to think. It's from Chile, Fragaria chiloensis. Very, very vigorous, a little bit too vigorous, actually. I've learned to not let it just go anywhere it wants to. That's my cabaret grass, Miscanthus cabaret. Beautiful variegated. It'll get to about 5 feet tall, taller than me. Here's some Cicericiums, also called blue-eye grass. It's actually an amaryllis, miniature amaryllis. The sun's just hitting this screen. I can hardly see anything. This is a native here. This is Spirea douglasii. You know, you've seen those spireas in the nurseries. Those are all Asian. Here's a Pacific Northwest spirea for a change. These green mats here are all time, ornamental time. Makes a really, really good ground cover. Almost evergreen. There's that alyssum I was telling you about. I remember the name now, alyssum wolfinianum, I believe. Anyway, it's got wolf in it somewhere there. It's European. Then looking back the other way at the cabaret grass, that thing that's blooming right over there, knocking my socks off because I'm seeing the blue in it, even if it might be purple. I don't see the red, but I do see the blue. Now that's Lithodora Grace Ward, and that's been a very, very floriferous. If I get here. Well, I'm still trying to figure out how to get this thing to do what I want it to do. Nope. There we go. And I've got another one over there. And one that's not blooming quite as much over on that other side over there. Some of my sedums. These are sedum setiform. Really kind of a underappreciated gray leaved sedum. Okay, I'll get back up again here. Try to get back to 1x. Oops, gotta pull a weed here. One of these damn mustards. Now that huge green mass there is Arctostaphylos. It's related to the manzanitas. It's Arctostaphylos uva ursi, which basically means bearberry. And right next to it is another Arctostaphylos, Pacific Mist, that gray thing over there, which is actually more woody than this bearberry. And continuing to pull weeds as I'm sitting here. It's also called up here in the Pacific Northwest kinnick, which I'm sure is an Indian word. Anyway, here's the Lithodora gracewort again. And then here's the Arctostaphylos Pacific mist, which was a natural hybrid discovered at the Rancho Santa Ana Botanical Garden in Claremont, California. And two ornamental miscanthus, they're both morning light. And coming back around here to the south side, a lot of things are still pretty quiet. One of the things that I was doing today was working on this area around the rock, or should I say stone. That was the first stone that was planted in the garden way back 3 years ago now. Used to be in the front yard, and Mark helped me to wrestle it back here, and it is the master stone of the garden. And I had planted a gray grass around it, thinking it was a miniature grass, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger. So I lifted them out yesterday afternoon, evening, and then I added some sand here to make up for the difference in volume of sand that was taken out along with the roots of the grass. A lot of this garden is really reliant upon sedum. Here's a sedum sexangulaire. Go back here. Evergreen. Bloom is very, very strong yellow. Now, I planted these about 2 years ago with the thought that they would eventually grow together and make a mass, which they're doing, but they're not doing it as fast as I had thought, which actually means that they're more well behaved than I thought as well. They won't run away from you. That's basically what I'm saying. Just coming up out of its winter doldrums, its dormancy, is this pennisetum grass, Pennisetum alopecuroides. Yeah, I've used some ornamental grasses as well. They'll take the low nutritional value of just pure sand. And that's the thing about this area, in case you might be a new viewer and don't know about it. But this is a septic drain field. There is no sewer system on Camino Island. Every property is responsible for treating its own sewage. And so this one was put in at the same time the house was built 3 years ago. That house is only 3 years old. And we weren't there at the time. It was the original owner that had it then. But when I moved in, I just took a look at this 45 by 30 foot sand thing. I just thought to myself, I'm going back to Texas. But the more I stopped and thought about it, the more I thought, what kind of lemonade can I make out of this lemon? So that's what I've been working on for the last 2.5 years, is planting things that will grow basically in pure sand. Now what that means is, in effect, it's hydroponic. And so in order to grow them, I need to feed them. So I use a liquid fertilizer about once or twice a season, just depending. Getting toward the end here. That's some Miscanthus gracilis, graceful Miscanthus. And this is actually from Corsica, Mediterranean. It's a cistus. It's a hybrid. It's called Jester. And some Nephophia, little miniature Nephophias, red hot pokers. I don't know what they call them in their native land of South Africa, but that's a little miniature Nephophia. It's called Nephophia Fire Dance. More weeds. That's one of the bad things about a Sandstone's garden is that every seed known to man just has a field day when they find this place. So, let's see, we're at the end now. I just walked my way through it all the way to my beloved, my absolute favorite plant on the whole property. And this is my native shore pine. I was planted it back over that way, about 10 feet away originally. And then I came to find that my neighbor Dan decided he's going to put up a fence here where he basically never said that he was going to do that. So if you can see this line here or not, you just barely see it right there. Well, that runs all the way down to the corner of the fence, which is my property, the point of my property. And the same thing down there, that's also, that fence is the end of my property. So he's going to build a fence across this back area. And when he did so, this shore pine, my pride and joy, would have wound up behind the fence. So I dug it carefully, balled and burlapped it, and moved it 10 feet over here, and it didn't even act like it knew anything happened. So it's putting on a lot of new candles, as you can see. Doing very happy. Okay, so there's that. Here's some comfrey. Everybody has to have some comfrey, right? And as my daughter-in-law, PN, says, once you have comfrey, you have comfrey forever. This is another miscanthus. This was the porcupine grass, the miscanthus strictus, and it has a yellow variegation, and so I planted this yellow sedum rupestri around it to pick up on the yellow. But the grass is yet to get big enough to show that. And yeah, I've already shown the sedums around the cedar stump from one of my most previous and recent videos. Here's two lemon queen sedum sunflowers that are coming up. Just notice them. Last year I got my own seeds. Last year they got about 10 feet tall. And this is Hooker's Willow. Planted it because it's very early, and perhaps I hoped it would be food, pollen food for my mason bees. And then over here, these are a lot of plants that wound up on the wrong side of the fence as well. These are elderberries and some native wildflowers down there, including Asclepias speciosa, which is the showy milkweed, just in case some monarch butterflies come by. And let's see, that is my madrone. I know this light's terrible, but I just thought I'd go ahead and do this thing anyway. I'm running at 13.5 minutes, so I better shut down. It takes me about an hour to load a 5-minute video. Very slow internet. I've got to do something about that. Anyway, so now we're back into the shade here. Feels better already. Oh, there's my jade plant. Had that for a long time. That's actually the child of the original jade plant. And my arrow bamboo. One of the first things that I planted. Probably one of my favorites, if not the favorite, bamboo. Okay. So, I guess I will bid you all adieu until next time. And maybe I can do it in a little bit nicer light, but I had a little moment here to kind of snatch this little video. So I went ahead and decided to do it. In any event, I will see you all next time, and vaya con Dios.